Hello, how are you? Um, well, this chapter. Actually, I wasn't planning on making any kind of video yet. I believe my last video I said, oh, will I make another video if they go canon? Maybe. Um, but I actually got requested for one, which made me very happy. I got a comment on Tumblr from someone named Penny TF, which is I was just so happy to see it. So they're like, I found out your YouTube channel, and I was literally watched all of your videos because I only found out now you have a Tumblr. What I would like to ask is, are you planning to make another video about Gruvia with your thoughts on the latest chapter? I would love to see it. Thank you, Penny TF, because yeah, I mean that's awesome. I'm happy that you're interested in my thoughts, and I guess this is my first official chapter review. Um, yeah, this chapter. I'm a horrible person. Let me just preface the video with I'm a horrible person because there is a very large part of me that loved everything. 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 Even the bad things about this chapter. Even the sad, sad things about this chapter. And I'll explain. I'll explain as we go through it. But yeah, let's start with the chapter cover page, which I wasn't a fan of. I'm gonna use the MS translation. I'm mostly gonna use the Crunchyroll translation because that's the official one, basically. But they don't translate the chapter covers anymore, which is a shame. I wish they did. But yeah, the MS translation of the chapter cover basically says the J in Juvia stands for gray, with a little heart. And then it says Juvia's brain is in full-on love mode, and her words have become nothing more than incoherent babble. And then there's like a picture. I don't even know what this is exactly supposed to be, um, you know, showing us. Um, I feel like, Juvia's on the cover and she's holding like a gray scarecrow thing. I don't know what it is. It's a doll. And she looks really cute. And there's like, I don't know, like it looks like kind of beachy, sandy area in the background. I see a little shovel, and there are hot air balloons. But I mean, the thing is, the title of this chapter, even the title is amazing. The title of this chapter is called Gray and Juvia. Gray and Juvia. Like, whoever thought, other than rieriebee, hi Marie, whoever thought that Juvia and Gray would get a chapter title for themselves, like that it'd be named after them. So Gray and Juvia is the chapter title, and yet the cover is Juvia and not really gray, like fake gray. And that was my like biggest disappointment. I'm like, a title that says Gray and Juvia better freaking have Gray and Juvia on the cover. And but to me, here's the thing. To me, that is even more reason why I think we're gonna end up getting another chapter cover because this ain't no Gray and Juvia. Okay, this is Juvia being her cutesy self with her cutesy plushies, and that's all cool and everything. But even the words, I feel like the words that were included for the cover in Japanese were very confusing. Like I get why that it would be translated like this, but it still isn't. Apparently, it's supposed to be the Jew in Juvia is the Juvia's Jew is Gray's goo. Sarapyon kind of translated that from Tumblr, and I mean it's like Juvia is part of Gray, and indeed this chapter kind of fits in line with that. So I guess that kind of makes sense, but basically like they're kind of one and the same. I feel like is what it's saying. As for the whole Juvia's love babble thing, like her Juvia's brain is like incoherent babble right now because of her. It's on full on love mode, and I feel like it's just saying like she's just saying silly love things, and that's fine. That's Juvia. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't like the cover because I felt like it should be Gray and Juvia considering what it was titled and what was going on, and not just Juvia plus Gray plushie. But I feel like again that's just to show us don't take this situation that seriously. Because if this really was like, you know, the end all of everything of this situation, then it would be a different kind of cover. It wouldn't be so lighthearted, I think. So okay, let's move on. We get like a recap. This is now I'm going to the crunchy. We get a recap basically with Invul. Fuck Invul. Sorry, but yeah, Invul. Like he's like, yeah, well then I invite you to kill each other at your leisure, and you have like Gray and Juvia connected at the necks with the chain. And again, some people were questioning why can't Juvia just use a water body to like just turn into water and get out of this chain? You know, why can't Gray just break the freaking chain? You know, why can't he eat the chain? It's not, it's a physical chain, but it's a magical chain. It's not that simple. First of all, it's binding their hearts and minds. Okay, you can't break the chain because it's binding their hearts and minds. Unless their hearts and minds can break from the chain won't break. You can't physically break the chain because it's binding more than physically their necks. Okay, that's number one. Number two, they're also not, they're being controlled. Okay, so they can't break the chain even if they wanted to. But yeah, I feel like the main point that I just made, the first point, is the real reason why. Because they're sitting around being, it's beyond a physical binding. Alright, so that's number one. So they're like in shock and they're like, holy shit, now what? And they're like, I'm losing consciousness. Juvia doesn't want to hurt Gray-sama. But you could see they're furious. Like they have this furious stare at each other. But yeah, we saw this at the end of the last chapter. So they're really, really mad at each other. But they're not. They can't control it. They're just basically rabid right now. They're just going to fight to the death because that's what he's instructing them to. So there's Juvia, and she's getting ready to launch an attack, and goes, this is the last thing Juvia wants, but her body is betraying her, and Gray's thinking, I can't control it, I can't even think. So they attack each other, and it's brutal, because Gray's like, ah, and Juvia's, ah, and they're hurting each other now. And, you know, even if you're not like a shipper, at the end of the day, you can't deny that these two are so close. Their relationship is like incredibly powerful, and they really, really, really care for each other. So they never want to fight. But again, like I said, this is kind of everything I've ever wanted. I always wanted a rematch between Gray and Juvia. I did, because I thought it would be cool to see. But if they had like a regular one, I can see why that wouldn't work out. Because again, like Juvia said, Juvia would never want to hurt Gray. Right? She says it throughout this chapter. She'd never want to hurt like a hair on Gray's body. But so if they weren't like forced to do this, Juvia would go all out. At least Juvia would go all out. I'm sure Gray wouldn't maybe either. But I feel like this is like a really cool, messed up way to make them like battle completely seriously to their utmost. And I think it's really interesting, but it's also really heartbreaking to see them hurting each other, you know, against their own will. So okay, so that's that page, and then it just gets even more brutal. Gray freaking punches Juvia in the face. Punches her, and then Juvia tries to kick, but Gray blocks it. Okay, and you see the chain stretch, and you see Gray like freaking like body slam her with holding her like her leg, and it's just he looks wild. He looks wild, and he's just destroying her. And not only that, let's also take into account Gray's in his Devil Slayer mode. Like he's at his strongest. He's using everything at his disposal, and yet Juvia is just taking it, and she's being slammed. Gray is way more powerful than Juvia, but Juvia is no, like, you know, pushover. She didn't go down. Like this whole chapter, she didn't go down. She kept fighting, and you know, as brutal as Gray was being, she didn't get knocked out. She was still, and she messed Gray up too, like big time. So okay, so Inil saying in the next page, as I suspected, Gray is certain to be the victor. Yeah, good for you. With the guild that will play, good for Inil, not Gray. But with the guild that, and you see Juvia again, she's being punched, she's being hammered by Gray. She's just taking a beating. And it says, but then you see her back up again. It says, and you see them attacking each other. It goes, with the guilt that will plague you once you've taken your friend's life. Oh, guilt that will plague you once you've taken your friend's life. The darkness will engulf you. turning you into the ultimate warrior to defeat. And so you see Gray's eyes are like shaded. And again, it looks like he's rabid. It looks like he's like just completely lost it. But I feel like his eyes are shaded because he's trying to fight. He's trying to fight against it, but he can't. And then we see this, like this little flashback from Inil, and he's like, "Your Majesty, the pendant you always wear around your neck." And he goes, "Ah, you mean this?" Zaref says that. And Zaref shows a locket, and he opens it, and there's like, well, actually, I can't draw kids. I'm sorry. They look like just chibi-fied versions of their normal selves. But it's cute, but he can't draw kids. Just ginormous heads and little bodies with a little blush and bigger eyes than normal. So you got, it's me, Natsu, my little brother. So Zaref, that's the thing with Zaref. That's why his curse is a contradiction curse. Because he does love, he does care, but he has to not. Because when he does, people freaking die. So he's not, that's the thing. Zaref isn't really the antagonist. I think the only real true antagonist, it'd be beyond maybe some of the Spriggan, who unfortunately Zaref has under his, thumb, is Akmuloya. He's the only one who's really the big bad guy. So I feel like at the end of this, Zaref and Mavis will probably pass on together, and they'll be happy because they'll finally be free. That's, I feel like that's what makes sense. So, okay, so we're done with the flashback. And then we have Inil, and it says, His Majesty is to defeat Akmuloya and rule the world. END is a hindrance to that. It is only a hindrance because Zaref wants END to kill him. Again, that's why I said Zaref's not a bad guy, really. He wants his life to be ended, but the problem is if he dies, then Natsu dies along with him as END. And I guess Inil does not want this. He does not want his, precious master to, to leave this world, and he wants him to rule the world. So, so he's looking at Gray like, oh, devil slain, perfect. How convenient. That's exactly what I need, right? So, okay, that's why he wants Gray. He's thinking, oh, if I make him fall into darkness, that means what I just did worked. He's my, my puppet now, and I can use him against against END. And he knows END is Natsu because of this locket. He knows who END is. So I think we're gonna get a reveal on that very, very soon to Gray. Anyway, so here they are. They're still battling, and they're really worn out. And you see Gray and Juvia have like so many bruises and bloody splotches all over them. And they're panting really heavily because they've been battling hard, and they're going, and Juvia's, again, thinking to herself. We get all of Juvia, basically most of this is Juvia's internal monologue. We're seeing what's going through her mind, what her thought process is that leads her to her decision, to her ultimate decision. And I think that's very important, because a lot of us wanted Gray's side in this situation. We want to see what he was thinking. But I feel like the reason he didn't do that is because of the shock that's supposed to come from when we see what happens, basically, after what Juvia does what she does. So, okay, so why is Juvia hurting Gray-sama? She's thinking to herself again. And she does not know I don't think she truly 100% understands this magic. She's trying to fight against it, and she doesn't know why she's being, made to do this, why she can't control it. And she goes, this cannot be happening, it's not possible. Juvia can never hurt Gray-sama. You must not allow, Juvia must allow Gray-sama to kill her. And now this next panel is so important. I love that she says this because it's so true. She goes, no, that must not happen either. She can't let Gray kill her. Because that's how selfless she is. She's like, I can't kill Gray. I would never kill Gray. I'm not going to let myself kill Gray. I won't let it go that far. But I can't let Gray kill me either. Because, and she says, Gray-sama would doubtless blame himself. Juvia, you're just... This is why she's my favorite character. I mean, people freaking have the nerve to say she's selfish in any way. She's constantly doing shit like this. She's constantly sacrificing herself all the time for other people. It's always, she puts people's feelings above her own. She puts people's welfare above her own. She did it with Kana. Even when she was like, everyone's like, oh my gosh, she hates Lucy. She keeps calling her love rival. Dude, even when she was like, just met Lucy and she was like, decided right then that she was her love rival, she still didn't want to hurt her, and that she was being controlled again. She was being controlled again, and she still was like watch out, you know, get out of the way. I can't control it. I want to hurt you. So no, Juvia is just amazing. She's and this is where her strength really shines. Like this is where her strength lies, is in her emotions, is in her love for other people. And Inil, that's what's so great. Like all of his reactions throughout this chapter is like, oh my god. Well, we'll get to that, but yeah. Okay, so she's like, as such, there's only one acceptable choice. She can't let Gray kill her, and she can't kill him. So she's like, yes, Juvia must kill herself, which is what was teased at the end of the last chapter. She's going to kill herself. That's what she plans on doing, because that's all she can't see any other way out of this. And you know, the fact that she's even able to go this far to fight it, to fight what Inil's doing to them, because he's controlling basically their every move, and has ordered them to kill each other. The fact that she can like manipulate, like break out of this hold to this extent, shows her strength in not just magically, but in her emotions, in her mentally, to her just everything. She's got such willpower. So okay, so she goes before Juvia loses her will completely. You see her like getting ready with a water kind of blade situation, and she goes, it is all right. Juvia must gather her courage. She's scared. You know, she's scared. She's gonna do it. She's a brave girl, but she's preparing herself to die, to just leave everybody behind, to leave everything behind, to leave Gray behind. And what is braver than that? To give your life, to be prepared to give up your life for somebody else. So she and in Inil again, your resistance is futile. Ice lock places a block on your mind. It robs you of the ability to think or feel. The chain will remain until one of you dies. So he's reiterating what he already said, basically, and basically mocking Juvia's like attempts to like break free of it. He's just like, yeah, he probably feels it. He's probably like, yeah, there's no point fighting it. You're not gonna win. You can't do anything. I've got you. But Juvia's like, no, bitch. Okay, there's just like this emotion is too great to be shut up within Juvia's tiny body. So again, Juvia's love basically overpowers a lot of things. They even said it in her magazine. She's like, because of her emotions, basically her magic and her power is limitless, because it's really based on how she's feeling, and if her strength lies in her feelings. And so he's shocked face from Inil, like, holy shit, what's she doing? What's she doing? How is she doing it? Why is she doing it? What's she doing? So Gray, you see him and you see his face, his dilated pupils, and he looks like he's still in that kind of controlled state. But I feel like no, he was like, oh. I think like that's what he's thinking to himself. He's seeing this, and here's Juvia. Oh, this is so sad and so beautiful. Juvia was truly fortunate to have met someone like you, Grayson. She's saying her goodbye. And it's just, again, she's showing her appreciation to Gray. Like, and it's so heartbreaking and so sweet. And she looks so pretty, and it's like, oh, she's trying to smile through everything too, like for his sake. And then she stabs herself with her own magic. She's got her hands, both her arms, inside her gut. Like, ouch. Ouch. Okay. Oh my god, Juvia. And Gray's eyes are just like shocked. Shock. Like shock horror. And it was like, suicide. This is not possible. And he's shocked, of course. But Juvia's shocked too. Why is Juvia shocked? And then, the next page. Why did you do it to? Gray says. And then you see the ice blade stuck right through him. This is so important. Okay, I'm going to stop here and say this is so important. Again, the reason we were going through Juvia's thought process as she made the decision to kill herself is because, and then to have the reveal of Gray did the exact same thing as her. That he had, that's the thing, that's the point. They had the same thought process. They were going through the same thing. They did what they did for the same exact reasons. The same reasons. That Juvia killed herself because she didn't want to hurt Gray because she loves him. And she didn't want to let Gray kill her because she loves him and she didn't want him to go through that. And Gray did the exact same thing that Juvia did. He killed himself rather than see her die at his hands and rather than have her feel responsible for his death. They're on the same wavelength. They're on the exact same wavelength. They did the exact same things for the exact same reasons. That was the point. That was the point. Okay, and so Juvia's like, huh? She's shocked. She's shocked. And Inil's so like, his reactions are over the top. He's just like, simultaneous suicide. They did it at the same time. Simultaneous suicide, he said. He did it at the exact same moment. And Gray's just like, why did you? And Juvia's like, Gray-sama, no. And she's crying because Gray did this so Juvia wouldn't die. Juvia did this so Gray wouldn't die. And now they're both dying anyway. And it's just, it's awful. It's so, I never expected this. I was sure that Juvia would die. Like, well, I wanted Juvia to die. And I thought she needed to. Again, like I said, as I prefaced, I'm a horrible person. I'll explain more of why I felt like this needed to happen. But at the moment, I felt like Juvia would die because it was teased, and I feel like everybody had a death scare so far in this arc, and it just made sense because Mashima needed to give us some kind of tension going into the following chapters. So for a lot of reasons, I felt it made sense to Juvia to like have a death scare. But I did not honestly think she'd kill herself. I thought Inil would do something sneaky after Gray and Juvia like broke out of the chains via some other means. And I was hoping love, but you know, they're showing love in a different way. This is but way more messed up. But yeah, I thought they would break out of the chains, defeat Inil together, and then like Inil would have like one last ditch effort and like kill Juvia in front of Gray, or you know, as maybe when Gray was going to deal the final blow against Inil, he was going to like maybe direct Juvia in his way, and Gray would end up killing Juvia by accident. You know, I thought that's how it would go. I did not think they would kill themselves. I did not think that, and I certainly didn't think Gray would kill himself. So this was like amazing, but also just so sad, so horrible, but so delicious if you love angst. I mean, like really, like so good. But okay, so next page, Gray just stabbed himself. So I didn't want to hurt a friend, and okay, this is so important. I didn't want to hurt a friend. Gray's saying, no, he corrects himself. I didn't want to hurt you. And in the Crunchyroll, this is bold and italicized. I didn't want to hurt you. So he was saying that she was she was a friend, right? He didn't want to hurt a friend, and then he's like, no. And he's like, because she's not on that level, she's beyond that level. He corrects himself because she's not just a friend. Otherwise, he would have left it alone. He would say, I didn't want to hurt a friend, but he didn't. He didn't just say that. So anyone saying, like, looking through this whole thing, it's ridiculous. Looking through this whole chapter and still thinking, no, Juvia's just a friend to Gray. He said it himself right here. She's not just a friend, because he corrects himself and says, I didn't want to hurt you. You. Not just a friend. Not a friend. You. Juvia is beyond for Gray. She's beyond. She's beyond. That's the whole reason I did it, he says. And Juvia says, yes. And he goes, I wanted to protect you. But and there again, I wanted to protect you. And it's just so beautiful. Like, Gray's trying to tell her, he's trying to explain. Like, I love Gray, but Gray's not, he has a very hard time talking about his feelings. Very, very hard. If you've gone through this whole series and you can't figure that out, like, this boy, he's so closed up. He's only really, honestly, the person he's been most open with is Juvia. When they're alone in private, that's when you see more so a more honest, a more earnest Gray. And we're getting that here, but it's so heartbreaking. I wanted to protect you, and even Juvia gets it. That's the thing, Juvia gets it. She goes, no, you've made Juvia very happy, Gray-sama. So she understands, she gets why he did what he did, because he did it the same reason she did it for her, and she did for him, he did for her. She gets why it happened, why he's doing this, and what he's saying. She completely gets what he's saying. She's happy, but it's like, oh, it's such a bittersweet happiness. Like, oh, Juvia, oh, Gray, why? And then again, we get Inil. Oh, Inil, how could they do that? It shouldn't be possible. So, Inil, the whole thing with Inil and his reactions to them is he did not understand their bond. Okay, he didn't understand their bond. He probably just thought they were another. They were just friends. They were just comrades. He didn't get it. He didn't get it, and he doesn't get it. That's why he keeps saying like about rational thoughts. He stole their rational thoughts, yeah, but he couldn't control their feelings. Love is not a rational thought. It's just a feeling. It's an emotion. And he doesn't think that way. He doesn't understand that he's ice cold. All right, literally, figuratively, emotionally, mentally. He's ice cold. He's very logical. He's very calculating. And he doesn't take feelings into consideration. And locking Juvia and Gray up like this was the worst thing he ever decided to do. It's like, bad decision, dude. Bad move. Stupid. Inil, you made a really dumb choice in this matter. Wrong people to attach together, basically. So, okay. Then you have Gray, he's so mad, he's like upset. Damn it. It wasn't supposed to turn out like this. And he's accepting it. He's like, we're both gonna die. We're both dying. And they're passing out. It's up to you now, Natsu. Get revenge for us. So he trusts in Natsu. Natsu is like Natsu is his best friend. That's the whole point. That's the whole point why this whole situation for Gray is like so messed up. Like the whole wanting to take out E&D thing, having that as his mission, and dooshiedoosh from Tumblr, Cat, hey Cat, she pointed out that Gray killed himself for Juvia, and he was so hell-bent on fulfilling his dad's last wish, which is taking out E&D, and he gave it all up. He gave it all up. Everything that his dad wanted from him, he just tossed it aside to protect Juvia, for Juvia. That was his most important goal, and he threw it away for her. Because he cares so much about her. That's huge. It is really big. So then we see them fall to the ground, and it's like one of the bloodiest scenes in fairy tale ever. You have Gray and Juvia freaking lying in their own pools of blood, and it's so and there we go. We have Inil again. With the whole. They both took their own lives. How could anybody do that? And it's like, on Tumblr there was a post that said, "That's love, bitch." Yes, exactly. That's love. Again, he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand. That's love, bitch. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Inil, you don't understand. But yeah. So you see the collars around their necks still, but then the last panel on this page is, this outcome was completely unexpected. You see the chains breaking, or starting to break. Now, is it because Juvia and Gray are dying, or is Inil himself breaking the chains? Undoing them, because obviously they're both dead, or they're both about to die. And he's like, forget this. Like, I'm out of here. That's bullshit. Like, I can't believe these people. They're ridiculous. So he's walking away. He's like, now that it has come to this, I must see to eliminating E&D by myself. And yeah, good luck to that, Inil. You're a fool. So here we see their neck. You see Gray's neck, and the chain's no longer there. He undid the chain. Now, is it because Gray died? Did his heart stop? I say this because you'll see. Alright, so we have, woohoo, the blizzard is going away. The blizzard stopped. Where did it come from anyway? Random people commenting that Inil took the blizzard with him when he left. So, I really do think Inil undid the chains himself, and that Gray and Juvia were not technically dead yet. This is me. That's what I think. Either that or Gray's heart stopped, which could be the case too. But I don't think Inil. I mean, I don't think Gray died, and I'll explain why. And Juvia definitely hadn't died yet. So, Gray's twitching. Gray's twitching. Thank God he is twitching. He's not dead. And he goes, huh? He's waking up. He's like, huh? Am I still alive? And then you see his heart. And he's going, but don't. And this feeling. And he realizes it. And he's like, oh shit. Is this Juvia's blood inside me? And oh, this panel killed me. It killed me because you see him shaking. And you see him absolutely horrified, terrified to look around because he knows what he's going to see. He's so scared of what he's going to see. And you see Juvia still lying there. She's still in that pool of blood. She's still face down. And here's what I did not notice on my first read through. You see like an IV kind of cord situation coming out of Juvia's arm. And it's clear. And she's saying telepathically somehow, she's maybe because she's performing magic on him at this point, and her magic's flowing inside him, so she can communicate with him. So, water make. She's never had water make. This is a new thing. She's learned this. Water make blood. Okay, so you have water make blood. This is an amazing ability. Water make blood. She's making blood. So here's another very important thing. She's making blood. She's making blood. She's not giving her own. That's what I thought too. I felt like, oh, she's saying she's giving Gray her own blood. But she's already bleeding out. Like, what blood can she possibly be having to give? She's not, because she's saying she's making blood. Water make. She's like Gray makes things with his ice. She's making blood with her water magic. So that's why it's a clear substance, water, coming out from her. But there's blood going into Gray. Then we see Gray also have the same kind of IV-looking cord thing going into his arm in the next panel. And she explains, she goes, Juvia took precautions in case anything happened to you, Gray-sama. This is a blood transfusion magic. Juvia learned in secret. Okay, so now a lot of people are saying that's an asshole. They're like, where'd she learn this magic in secret? Why weren't there, like, hints to her learning this magic? Why wasn't this foreshadowed? Here's the thing. Juvia loves Gray. And she actually has been through this situation once before. She saw Gray die right in front of her eyes, and even though it was retcon, basically, Ultear did stuff to have it be reversed, she still saw it. Like, she still had a flash of Gray dying right in front of her, him being shot full of holes. And she, obviously, it was a horrific thought. And not only that, he then went and disappeared for 6 months, and she was worried sick, literally. And I feel like it makes complete sense. Let's say she was trying to perfect this ever since the GMG ended. Like, after she saw that vision of him dying in front of her, bleeding out in front of her. What if she was trying since then, and then when she was by herself for 6 months, maybe she finished perfecting it then? Because, and that's a huge thing, making other substances out of your own water, that's a pretty, like, powerful spell Juvia learned, and she learned it for Gray's sake. So, okay, Juvia's a badass, basically. So and she cares so much for him. So here's the next page, and, Gray, dude, I feel you. He's horrified, he's shocked, he's devastated already. He's just like, no, he's not. Like, you could tell what he's thinking. He's like, not again. Because people always end up dying for his sake. Like, that guilt, that's so hard on him. You know? Like, that's why he was gonna kill himself. He did not want that. He did not want anyone dying. Any more people, or no other people are allowed to die for him. Okay, but here's Juvia. Unfortunately, she was like suspect number one on the who would sacrifice their lives for Gray, situation. And that's the thing, I feel like Gray was always so scared of losing Juvia. He was always so scared, and that's why he pushed her away for so long. That's why he was just trying to discourage her. He did not want this situation to ever occur. He did not want her to feel like this for him because she did not want her to ever feel like she needed to do something like this. That's my opinion. But here we go again. Gray's been through this before, and here we go again. So Juvia lives on within your body, Gray-sama. Again, she doesn't mean literally. She does not mean literally. It's her magic flowing through him, and it's also in his thoughts and in his heart, like in remembrance of her. So there is no need to grieve, she said. Oh, of course there's a need to grieve. You see that he crawled over to her. He's still shaken, and his tears, and he's going, wait, no, he's broken down. His eyes, there's tears a flowing, they're dripping, and he's taking her in his arms. Juvia, he's saying, and he's holding her so tenderly, and you could tell he's in shock. And he's shaken. He's trembling. He can't believe this. This is not how this was supposed to go. And oh my god, the next page just got me. Like, I was dead at this. Every time I read this, I'm like a mess. Except here, I won't be a mess for you guys because I've read this so many times. I don't know how many times I've gone through this chapter over and over again. It's sad, but I can't. It is so good. You can't believe me. This was an excellent chapter. This was great. So many ways. I don't care if you even hate these people, if you hate this relationship, I don't give a shit. This was an amazing chapter. So here we have Juvia. Beautiful, beautiful Juvia. Her panel looks gorgeous. And she says, Juvia's life is yours, Gray-sama. Juvia's life is yours. And it's just, and even the way MS translated, this is, like I said, this is Crunchyroll, but the way MS translated was, let me go to that page. She says, because Juvia's life will forever and always belong only to you, Gray-sama. It's just so beautiful. It's so Juvia. It's so sad. It's really just heartbreaking because, she's telling him it's okay, don't be sad because I'm always going to be with you. But, like, she's so okay with it because she did something to help him. She accomplished what she was trying to do, which is to save him. So she accomplished what she wanted, but it was at the expense of what Gray wanted. He did not want Juvia to die, and he didn't want to lose her. I said I wasn't gonna freaking damn it. Like I said I wouldn't, but it's always this panel that just destroys me every single time. Okay, so I don't have any fancy, I don't know how to do the, like, showing you what's on my screen thing, but plenty of people pointed out that the similarities between what we're seeing here with Juvia saying goodbye to Gray and what we saw when died for Gray, basically, when died protecting Gray, the panels, everything, exactly the same. I mean, almost exactly the same. Juvia and Ul look the same. The only difference is Ul has short hair and Juvia has long. Like, literally the same face, which is ridiculous because Ultear didn't even look that similar to her mom when she had her goodbye, even though that's her mom and she had the same exact freaking face. Like, they were supposed to look the same. So, okay, I'm looking at it now. And you see Ul, and she's saying, I'm alive, as she's fading away. And then you see Juvia, because Juvia's life will forever and always belong to you, Gray-sama. And then you have their words. And Ul says, you don't have to be sad. I am eternally alive as ice. While Juvia says, that is why there's no reason to be sad. Juvia will live on within you, Gray-sama. So it's the same exact thing. And what killed me the most was Gray's reaction to Ul, him just sobbing into the air. All you see is his mouth open, basically, as he's screaming out up into the sky, is the exact same thing as we see. Well, first you see Gray sobbing to Juvia's memory or her spirit, and then you see his reaction of him screaming. like I just said, and he's holding Juvia to him, and it's heartbreaking, and it's the exact same reaction he had to her. He did not react that strongly about any of the other losses, even his dad, even Ultear. This was the exact same thing. It's a parallel to exactly, basically. It was completely intentional, especially after I saw his reaction to compared to his reaction here. He literally, Mashima chopped off his head from that panel when he was a little kid, reacting to and put it on this panel. Okay, maybe that's why it's even so far away. I don't know. It's just the same freaking face, like in just his mouth, screaming up into the air. And, oh, okay, again, the people who say Gray didn't care about Juvia the same way she cared about him, and he didn't take her feelings seriously. Again, the flashbacks, the whole point of this situation. You see him thinking about all the things, all the important moments, all the things that we considered Gruvia moments. It's showing that it was important. These things were all important to him too. That's what the flashbacks are. He is remembering all the things that meant something to him too, as far as Juvia is concerned. Like, okay, first I'm gonna get through the funny thing, because first of all, he thinks about when they first met, but he thinks about his boob curl pig situation. Like, apparently, that's when Juvia got his attention. So that's a weird thing to think about, Gray. Why are you thinking about groping her boobs? She's dying in your arms, dude. What? So boobs are important to Gray. Okay, but beyond that, you have also the cute little Gray bread situation. So I feel like this was important. I mean, I was surprised to see that, actually, because that was like more of a funny haha moment. But it was also the moment when Mira and Kana basically were like commentating on this whole situation, this whole scene, saying that they're acting the same as always because the rejection had happened previous to this. And this was supposed to basically show that it was bullshit. Like, Gray didn't really mean it, everything was the same as always, and he was so blushy too in this scene. So apparently Gray really liked Juvia making him some bread, I guess, because he's thinking about it. And it was a contradiction to the rejection. So because he was basically accepting her affections here. And another thing I really liked, I mean, there's the cute little camarade Franks scene, caramel Franks. I don't know what it's supposed to be. So basically they're eating some freaking hot dogs. I don't know. And Alzik and Visca were commenting that, they're acting all lovey-dovey. So there was that. In fact, yeah, get a room. That was the official translation. That's the Crunchyroll. Get a room from Alzik and Visca. So Gray, I mean, that was back before Edelus, and Gray was like taking notice of her even then. Their relationship was building. He's even thinking about when he saved Juvia from Ultear. That was the first time he really epically saved her life, and that was actually the moment where it like basically solidified for me that okay, this ship is gonna sail. One day it's gonna sail. Like, it is sailing, but like it's gonna hit canon. That was epic. That Gray just came in and he was so furious that Ultear was about to like try and chop off Juvia's head. And we see also, I love this too, that we see Gray and Juvia training together, which was Juvia's flashback to their time during the time skip. This proves that their living together meant something to Gray too. He too, it was important to him. So, and then we see them fighting together during the Avatar with the unison stripping. And then, of course, Tartarus. This was the hugest moment before all of this went down. Like, Gray just again with the boobs. The boobs are important to Gray. Gray burying himself in Juvia's boobs while, Juvia told him that she was the one who killed Silver, basically via killing Keith. And he was thanking her, and he was apologizing to her, and it was just such a huge thing. And it was the first time he really opened up to to Juvia, and Juvia, that was when she said he felt warm. She melted that ice, dude. She melted that ice around his heart. And oh my god, she's pumping that blood into his heart now, too. Like, we see his heart now. Physically see his heart. And he's alive because of Juvia. And, he's begging her. Okay, so here's the thing. He's going, Juvia, I'll take you more seriously. That's the Crunchyroll translation. I'll take you more seriously, I promise. And he's not saying it because he wasn't taking her seriously up until now. That's what 453 was. He says, I was going to give you an answer after the war. He was already taking her seriously. He was, in my opinion, he was taking her seriously ever since Tartarus started. That was the Gruvia bread. That's why we see it here. He was taking her seriously ever since Tartarus started, and it just kept building from there because he's like, pushing her away didn't work. All right, and I think he was kind of relieved it didn't work because I don't think he really wanted her to give up on him. I feel like he thought it would be best for both their sakes after she almost died and that he then did die. Um, but I feel like he even said it in 453. He said, I appreciate you always being by my side, that she's always there for him. So I think that this whole thing of I'll take you more seriously, I promise, it means that she's trying to bargain with her to freaking wake up because he had an answer to give her. He's saying, I'm taking you seriously, not I'm going to take you seriously, or I just started taking you more seriously. That's not what he means. So it's so frustrating when people take it like that. That he killed himself for her. This whole chapter was him proving he takes her seriously, and he certainly takes her feelings seriously. He loves her. That's why he went through all this. That's why he killed himself for her. That's why Juvia killed herself for him. They were the same. Oh my god, I can't with people. I'm sorry. It's just like it was so obvious, and it's like this is not rocket science. This does not need serious contemplation. This isn't Shakespearean tragedy. Okay, it kind of is. It kind of is. It was Romeo and Juliet. Like he mirrored Romeo and Juliet. Like I cannot even believe we got a Romeo and Juliet situation here. Gray and Juvia, Romeo and Juliet. But yeah. But it's not, I'm saying that this is not a difficult thing to comprehend. It's like it's been building for so long, this relationship of theirs and Gray's feelings. And it, apparently in the Japanese, serious could also be translated as into earnest. Earnest. In other words, more honest. Okay? That makes all the sense in the world that Gray would say, I will be more earnest with you now. From now on, I promise. I promise wasn't supposed to be in there either. There's their posts on Tumblr from multiple people explaining, breaking down the actual Japanese. But yeah, he's basically saying, I was supposed to give you an answer. Freaking wake up! For like, you can't do this. So yeah, he's saying, so wake up. Please, he's begging her. He's begging her. And oh, this panel where he's holding her and he has his forehead pressed up against hers and it's so romantic and it's so sad and it's heartbreaking, honestly. It's like, oh, it's cute. And she's not waking up. But here's the thing. People pointed out that Juvia's leg is up in the position when Gray's screaming and crying and holding her, and if you're dead, you'd be limp. Juvia wasn't dead yet. This is my opinion. Juvia hadn't died because she's on the brink of death. Okay, she's on the brink. And to quote the Princess Bride, she's mostly dead. She's mostly dead. Because she would be limp there otherwise. She's not waking up. She's unconscious. She's passed out because she basically is bleeding out, and also she just used probably the last bit of magic that she has to help save Gray. So she's on the brink of death, but she's not dead yet. She's mostly dead, which means also slightly alive. Okay, otherwise she would be able to talk to him. Otherwise she would be able to still be performing the magic. And Gray obviously is completely alive here. So nobody technically died in this chapter. She's going to die if someone doesn't do something. So that's my opinion. And again, the chains, either Gray's heart stopped, which is what broke the chains, or Inil himself took the chains away because he's like, they're both dying. They're both crazy people. I'm out of here. So he gave up because he's like, they're dying. And I think that's what it was. But it could be, I feel like nobody died in this chapter, really. They were both about to die, but nobody died. So, okay, so that's where we end up with this situation. We don't see any more of Juvia after this. So it leaves it, you're obviously left with a very heavy impression of she's dying or she's dead. But she's not, because no one says she's dead. Nothing says she's dead. Again, her leg is up in that. She would be limp. and she was just using magic and talking to him just before this page. So she is probably about to die. So and if she comes back, which she, again, in my opinion, she absolutely will come back. I don't think she's going to come back from the dead. I think she's just not going to be dead yet. And Gray's going to do something. So I'll talk about that at the end. But then we have the next pages. And we have Inil, basically. And Inil is saying, he's like walking away from them. And he goes, Brandish was headed in this direction, as I recall. And then it's very cool, because Inil is an ice mage, and he shivers. He shivers. And you do kind of see, you see this shadow behind him, and he is terrified. He gets the chills. He gets the chills. And his face is like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. Because Gray, and I've always wanted this, Gray is furious. He's raging. He is so pissed. You see the scar on his stomach, okay? You see that scar, and it's filled in. It looks like he maybe filled it in. It was probably like water filled in with ice, solidified, and that's his Juvia scar. This is Juvia scar. He has his Ultear scar, he has his Leon scar, and now he has his Juvia scar that he gave to himself as well. Because he gave himself the Ultear scar, and he's now given himself the Juvia scar, but he gave himself the Juvia scar to save Juvia's life. And Juvia brought him back. Juvia helped him. Juvia saved him. And Gray it's basically a my boyfriend's back and you're gonna be in trouble kind of situation. He just messed with his girl. He just freaking tried to kill them both. He is going to go on a rampage. I don't think there's any question about it. Inil's going to get his ass kicked. Inil's going to get his ass handed to him in the next chapter. I don't think there's any debate about that, and as rightly he should, because he messed with the wrong people, and Gray is... And what I think is cool is because the thing is, Inil wanted this to happen so that Gray could... He wanted him to lose Juvia at his own hands, or lose Juvia in general, probably also, to plunge his heart into darkness. But the thing is, Gray doesn't even have any Devil Slayer anything on him right now. There are no black marks on him. Juvia is his light. Juvia is the one who's going to keep him on the path of good, in my opinion, not have his heart completely submerged into darkness. But the next chapter is called, and it's chapter 500, the huge milestone chapter. It's called To Be Continued in Fire and Ice. Now, that gives the impression that we're going to see end. And we might, but I feel like that's too soon at this point, because we haven't seen Natsu at all in this chapter. So I feel like it might just be Inil maybe breaking the news to Gray as he's being defeated that, yeah, your girl is like dying and you're gonna have to destroy your best friend kind of situation. So that might bother Gray a little bit, I would say. But yeah, okay, that was the end of the chapter, and it was an amazing chapter. And like I said at the beginning, I'm a horrible person, and I'm a horrible person because Juvia is my favorite character. But FYI, I wanted her to die since the end of the GMG. And now I will explain. I wanted her to die. Oh, not die, but die. This is very important. The quotations, okay, die is very important. I don't mean actual death. I mean fake death, or like what we got here, which is she's on the brink of death. Like Gray's faced with the possibility of losing Juvia forever. And the reason I wanted this since the GMG is because of the rejection. Now, with the rejection, I felt like it was not sincere. Because we had just seen them do Unison Raid together, and you can't do that. You can't, it's basically based on their feelings. It's not based on anything they're saying, it's based on everything they feel. The fact that they were able to do it, and the fact that it was painted pretty romantically. And then Gray actually literally dies for Juvia. He saves her, and he ends up dead because he pushed her out of the way, and it took his life instead. So he already sacrificed himself for Juvia. This is the second time he's killed himself for Juvia. And then before people say again he would do that for anybody, we're talking about a literary standpoint. We're not talking about, you know, hypothetically he would do this for anybody. Mashima's not showing him, showing Gray doing it for anybody. He's showing him doing it for Juvia, and he's shown him doing it for Juvia twice now, and he's showing it doing this for Juvia in the context of Juvia loves him, and Juvia did the same thing for him in this very chapter, and Gray did the exact same thing that she did, and for probably, almost definitely, in fact, the exact same reasons. So no, this is on a completely different level. So I wanted basically the rejection situation. After the rejection, I'm like, okay, Gray. Okay. And I love Gray. He's my second favorite character. And I don't want him to suffer. You know, I don't want him to be traumatized. I don't want him to be sad. Because he's lost so many people. But in this case, he needed to lose Juvia to serve the storyline, to serve his development, to serve Juvia's development, to serve their relationship development. It needed to happen. Because he had to understand why it's not okay to keep pushing her aside, despite what they both feel. It's not okay to keep pushing her aside, and waiting, basically. He even made her wait here. He's like, after the war. But the problem, as soon as he said that, I'm like, oh, death flag. Because the problem with that is, there may not ever be an after the war for Juvia. That's what I thought. As soon as 453 happened, I'm like, there may not ever be an after the war. There may not be a tomorrow. So he needed to unfortunately learn that the hard way. He needed to be faced with one final loss. And the difference with this situation is this had to be the one he had to go above and beyond to make sure it didn't come to be. And he did try. And I feel like he's going to continue to try. So this is why I feel like this death it needed to happen. And it needed to happen for another reason too. The reason we needed to have Juvia die here, again, because I honestly don't think she's dead. Don't think she's dead yet. So another reason I wanted her to basically die is because we needed to have the tension. If they had gone canon here, which they will go canon, but if they had gone canon here, there would be nothing to look forward to. He needed there to be. That's why we didn't get his feelings like blatantly. That's why he didn't say it. That's why he didn't give his answer, even though she's like on the brink of death. He wanted her to be actually alive and conscious to hear it. That's why he was bargaining with her. That's why he was trying to tell her, wake up, please. That's why he was begging her. He's like, I'm taking you seriously. Wake up, So it's like we didn't get any of it because he's saving it, because we will get it. We will get it the next time we see these two together. I feel like we will get that answer that he promised us at 453, that he promised Juvia at 453. So it's just a matter of, adding tension to the story, adding suspense to the story, adding suspense for their relationship, because otherwise it would have been over right here. There would be nothing to look forward to if this didn't happen. Now there's something to look forward to because he's built up all of this suspense for when Juvia actually turns out to be fine, and she will. I have no doubt. Like, when Gray died in the GMG, I had no worries. I was like, I see you, Ultear, being all emo and saying, you don't deserve to live, you're about to do something. And I was like, yeah, Gray's gonna be fine. And he was. I just didn't expect. The only surprises that Mashima gives me isn't the deaths, but the deaths, but the amount of time he actually keeps them dead, because I'm always shocked by how short of a time he actually keeps them dead. Like, Juvia, I thought she was, in the beginning I thought she would be the longest kept dead, basically, because I felt like Gajil's was only like 2 chapters. When Gajil died, and I love Gajil. Gajil's the best. He's awesome. But when he died, I had no worries. I was like, yeah, he'll be back. But only 2 chapters, I was like, wow, Mashima. And then when Mira, who I also love, Mira's great. When Mira, who also doesn't get enough love from Mashima, because frickin' swords, you had her fight frickin' swords. Now she's fighting Jacob, who's like such a joke spriggan. Ugh, it sucks. But anyway, she died, 3 pages? 3 pages! That was impressive, Sensei. Good job. But I don't want people to die. I'm not saying this because I'm sitting there. I'm not one of those people like, no, people need to die. Someone needs to die. Makarov needed to die. He needed to die back in Tenrojima. In my opinion, that would have solved a lot of these problems of there's no suspense because there are no consequences. He needed to die. But I hope I still hope he dies. But at this point, it's not going to feel like anything. It's just going to feel like it's going to be a gain rather than a loss because everyone wants him to die at this point. It's like, go away, old man. You don't deserve to be here anymore. You're pointless. I loved you at one point. What happened? Like, seriously, he was the most awesome thing during, like, Phantom Lord. Like, the freaking fairy law. I thought that was so awesome. And then he was, like, fighting against the airship and Tenojima at the beginning. And then he was fighting against Aknoloya, trying to save all his little brats. And I was like, yes, oh my god, Makarov, oh no. If he had died there, that would have been everything. I would have cried probably. I would have been so sad. And I would be like, oh my god, Makarov, I loved you, man. I loved you. I'm so sad. Now it's like, oh my god, die. Like when I saw his little baby self in like a flashback that Mavis had, you know, when he was born, and you know, you saw his mom, and as soon as I saw that baby, I was like, oh my god, I hope that baby dies soon. Like that's what point we have reached. Okay? Makarov, just die. Okay, let Laxus take over. You shouldn't be there anymore. It would have been so much character development for everybody in the guild. That's the thing. It wouldn't have been for one or two people. Everyone would have been affected by Makarov's death. It's just no, that needed to happen for the story, and I'm still so sad it didn't. Like and again, if he dies here, like I hope so, but I don't see it really being much of an impact even now. But yeah, I don't need a million deaths. Juvia should die. And the reason Juvia should die, here's the other thing. People are like saying, oh, she needs to die. It would be great character development for Grey. No, it wouldn't. It would be terrible character development for Grey. It would be such bullshit character development. It would be like the shallowest, worst kind of character development because the only reason people want Juvia to die and the only kind of development they see coming from that is for Grey to basically go all dark and evil. And that's such shallow bullshit. Like, that's such cliche nonsense. Like, Grey doesn't need that. He's getting the temporary, like, boost from this. That's why he needed this. He needed this to, like, so we could get an awesome moment of him basically, how dare you hurt my girl kind of situation. What I want to see in the next chapter is to confirm that Juvia is not actually dead. Like, I want him, like, Inil to say something about how Juvia's dead. And Grey to say, oh no, she's not dead yet. But you will be. Soon. Like, that would be everything. Like, no, she's not. But you... And then maybe we'll get a flash to Juvia, like, frozen in ice. As he, like, basically put her in, like, cryogenic stasis to stop the dying process until he can get her some help. That, to me, makes complete sense. Because if she didn't die, people shouldn't be mad that she's not dead. No one said she was dead. You're jumping the gun. It looks like Himashima absolutely wants us to think she's dead, I think. But she's not. In fact, that's why he paralleled a lot of things. And here's another thing I want to talk about. He paralleled, like I said, And didn't come back. She's technically living, but not really. She's in the ocean. So Ur's dead. Actually, let me hold off on that. I wanted to say the character development for Grey. It would be terrible character development for Grey because all it would be doing is pushing him like, you guys just want to see him be all dark and edgy. And that's so stupid because that's just been done so many times. Not that he won't be upset. He might be dark and edgy, I don't know. But because he needs some kind of reason to attack Natsu as End. Because I don't understand why he would do so, even if he found out he was End, because that's still his friend. But I feel like, it would be bad character development it would be good if it hadn't been, it would be good for the story if we haven't had and Ultear and Silver and his parents from the beginning. If all of those losses didn't exist, then you could say, okay, Juvia's staying dead. If he hadn't already been through this 4 times before, then you could say, okay, Juvia's staying dead. But the thing is, he was completely traumatized, and he was living in that guilt for so long, and the only thing that was helping him get past this pain and this grief was Juvia. Juvia was the thing that was helping him finally grow. She was the person who was helping him finally grow beyond that grief. She was the one who was helping him heal. So taking Juvia away, someone who has obviously become his most important and his most loved person, would not only plummet his psyche into grief once again. It would also just be regressing him, basically. He'd be going back into the past. His character development would be shot. Okay, everything he's gone through, building past all this, you would be plunging him back into the past. It makes no sense. It really, from a narrative perspective, it makes absolutely no sense. You're taking away his most important person, again losing a person important to him for the fifth time. It doesn't make any sense. And then also the fact that she was his support system. Now you're tearing away his support system, the thing that was helping him get past his grief. And it doesn't make sense from a storytelling perspective. It really doesn't. So no, it would not be character development for Gray. It wouldn't be good character development for Gray. It would just be regressing him. So no, Juvia can't stay dead because it makes no sense. And it makes no sense for her storyline either. Like, Juvia says she lives for the ones that she loves. She can't live for the ones that she loves if she's dead. Like, I understand why she did this, because it was the only way she could think of to save Gray. And the same reason why Gray did it. Obviously, he went through the entire, story trying to kill himself off lots of times, and even dying once before. And he did it again because Juvia's just that important to him. Like, he values his life, but not at the expense of Juvia's. So, it's because it's Juvia. And but the theme of Fairy Tale is you live for your friends. You don't die for your friends. Juvia's theme is she lives for the ones that she loves. Juvia, it has to be different. That's why he's paralleling her. That's why he's paralleling even Rave Master. Everyone, like, lots of people said this reminds them of Music and Reina. Reina stay dead. Difference is Reina, okay, didn't have as much development with Musica. She didn't. Okay, she really didn't. And not only that, Reina and Musica's tragedy didn't happen at the very end of the story. This does feel like the very end of Fairy Tale. And the very end of Rave, even, as sad as it was, it made me cry twice over deaths, okay? As sad as it was, even for Mashima, he didn't do it with Rave in the last arc. A lot of things were happening. Major spoilers if you don't want to know what happened to Rave Master, so just, ignore this next part. But Rave Master, the final arc, there were a lot of, things that seemed like they were going to be permanent. Permanent sacrifices. A character turning into a dragon forever and not going to be able to change back. A kid losing all of his time, just like Ultear, he got old. Character being impaled, the way lots of characters were impaled in this series, and then there was even the main character died. He died, and he was still dead at the end of the epilogue, and yet everything was basically undone. The epilogue showed everyone just fine and dandy. If he did it in Rave, which was a much darker series, I wouldn't even say it was dark. It was not dark, but darker than Fairy Tale. If he did that in Rave and gave them all a happy ending in their final arc, then he's absolutely going to do it in Fairy Tale. So Juvia, especially of all characters, she's like at her core, she's a comic relief character in a large part. So it would be in such poor taste to kill her off. And again, she's such a happy, cheerful character. It's like, it would do nothing. It would do nothing for your story to keep her dead, and it certainly would benefit Gray or Juvia. It would be such a sad ending. And in my opinion, if Gray had given his answer here, and if we got a kiss or something like that, then you could say, "Uh-oh, time to worry." But he didn't, because he's saving it, because she is coming back. Because she's probably not dead in the first place. So yeah, no, she's not dead. He mirrored it because he wanted to. He mirrored Rave. He mirrored Ol, because those were permanent deaths, and he was like, "Be scared." And a lot of people are. And a lot of people believe she's dead, but she's not. He's trying to fake us out, but I'm not falling for it. And I feel like it wouldn't make sense. I feel like it would be a disservice to Gray, Juvia, their stories, their ending. And not only that, Mashima said he wouldn't do a bad end. Gray's story ending like this would be a very bad end. Juvia's story ending like this would be a very bad end. That would be horrible. It would be so tragic. Gray doesn't deserve it. He deserves to suffer, because it just, again, don't wait to tell people how you feel, but suffering is different than prolonging, like continuing the suffering, having the suffering not end. Alright? That's different. I don't want that for Gray. He doesn't deserve it. He really doesn't, especially because he tried to kill himself. He did not want this to happen again. He did not want someone else to sacrifice themselves for him. So, I'm excited, actually, because Juvia, I have no doubt she's going to be back. She may even be shown alive in the next one. Again, I feel like maybe we'll see her frozen. I feel like we'll see her frozen solid because of Gray. And and even if we don't, I feel like no matter what, even if it does turn out that she died, somehow she'll be back. There are enough plot devices in play. We've got the Tenro tree attached to the island that they're currently on. Everything's attached. All the continent is like one whole big like mass of a whole bunch of other places, and the Tenro tree is on there, and that keeps like fairy tale members safe. We've got a bunch of like kind of flaky, in my opinion, because you've already got Brandish saving people right and left. She shrunk Mirror's wound. Why not Juvia's? Saved Natsu from magic cancer. Why not heal Juvia? I don't know. So she's there. You've got Irene, who probably has some kind of connection to. Well, she does have some kind of connection to Erza. My guess is maybe she's her twin sister. Because, and you say, well, she looks older. Well, Erza was frozen for 7 years, so she is older. Irene would be older than Erza, even if they were twins. But I'm so sick of, the frickin' siblings and relationship, surprises. I don't care. I don't know. Anyway, but she's there, and she'll probably, make some kind of heel face turn, too, because she's related to Erza. And that's just what Erza does as well. So, she did it to Minerva, so she'll do it to Irene, who's obviously, again, related to her anyway. So she can, extract things. I don't know how that can help Juvia. Maybe, I don't know. And then there's Larcade with his soul magic. So you got a lot of weird powers at play. And then you've got the, major magics at play, which is Fairy Heart and the One Magic. So you could have some kind of general, huge magic fix everything, including Juvia. And then you also have stuff like, I don't know, you've got Mavis there. Maybe she has some other magic she could do. You've got Zaraf. Maybe he'll do something. Because, again, he's not really an antagonist. So, in my opinion, there are plenty of things Mashima can use that would make sense. And they're all in play in this arc. So I have no fear at all that Juvia's going to stay dead or that she's going to die. Or that she's not going to come out of this. Because, again, I don't think she is dead yet. So, yeah, I think she's gonna be fine. I have no worries. Like when Gray died, didn't have any worries then either. And Juvia is my favorite character, and I'm just sitting here going, she's gonna be okay. She's fine. She's fine. Don't worry. So she's fine. She's not gonna stay dead. And people who want her to stay dead, and people who are saying oh, this is so stupid. People who are saying if she doesn't die or if she doesn't because they're assuming she is dead. People who are saying that if she doesn't stay dead, if she comes back, then that's bullshit, and this chapter means nothing. That's ridiculous. Either this chapter made you feel something, or it didn't. Okay? There's no, she didn't stay dead, so this chapter doesn't mean anything. Juvia died, tried to die, with the understanding that she's going to be dead. Okay? It's not like she did this thinking, but I'm going to be fine afterwards. No, that's why this means so much, because she's doing it because she doesn't know she's going to be okay. Gray, the same thing. He's dying for her because he doesn't know she's going to be okay. He's giving up his life for her. That's why it means something. I don't see people getting mad because I think people just don't like their feelings being messed around with. They're sitting around being led to believe that she's not going to come back or that she's going to die. But that's you not remembering that this is fairy tale, for one thing, and number two, that no one said here she was dead. So stop jumping the gun, okay? If you're mad that she doesn't actually die, that's your fault, because you're sitting around assuming she's dead. No one says she's dead. It looks like she's dead. Mashima absolutely is trying to make us think that that's going to happen. But in my opinion, don't jump the gun, because you should know better at this point. So if you're being angry, in my opinion, that's your fault. If you end up going, oh my god, that's such bullshit. Because why would you want Juvia to stay dead? How is that good for Gray's character? How's that good for the story? It doesn't make any sense. That's the other thing. It makes no logical sense to the story. It doesn't. Gray has already been through this 4 times before. It makes absolutely no sense for him to lose Juvia. Okay, and that, again, if that was the case, Gray would have probably confessed at this point, because Mashima is saving it. So I'm really excited for that, by the way. But yeah, I don't think Juvia coming back lessens the impact of this chapter at all. I think this chapter is gonna be is definitely probably the most emotional chapter I've ever read. You know, it certainly helps that Gray and Juvia are my two favorite characters, and that I love Gruvia. But yeah, I've never cried in fairy tale. Like the closest I got was the Golden Plains part, and it's probably because Juvia and Gray were supposedly dead there too. But yeah, that because people die. You know, I mean, it was an alternate universe fairy tale, but they were still dead. So that was sad. But I still didn't cry. He still didn't get me yet there. But here I did cry, honestly. Even though I know Juvia's gonna be fine, that wasn't it. Like again, I wanted Juvia to die since the end of the GMG. So it's not like I'm like, oh my god, Juvia's dead. No, she's fine. She's gonna be fine. But I cried just because that whole what Juvia said and that panel of her and it's just Gray's reaction and everything. It really did what it was supposed to do. That's how you know Mashima did a good job here because I know Juvia's gonna be fine and it still hit me because it was done well. This chapter was done really well. Again, it was Romeo and Juliet. Like, who expected that from Fairy Tale? Who expected Romeo and Juliet double suicide for the person they loved? That is, wow. Good job, Mashima. Like, we always say, like, we're always worried about, is he going to meet our expectations? He surpassed, dude. He surpassed. There were so many things that I got in this chapter that I had wanted for so long. I wanted Juvia to die, sacrifice herself for him. I wanted Gray to despair over her. I wanted Gray to think about her. Although I really do wish we had gotten new flashbacks, but it's okay because it shows that those moments were important to him too. I wanted Gray's feelings, which we kind of got. You know, the whole "you're not," you know, like friend. No, you, Juvia. Um, and that he wanted to protect her. And we got Gray being furious that someone hurt Juvia. Oh my god, next chapter is gonna be great. Like so rewarding that Inil is gonna get his ass kicked because of what he just did, what he just caused. It's gonna be awesome. So there's that. So we got that. I always wanted Gray to just go freaking nuts because of someone hurting Juvia. Which is also a music of parallel, by the way, from Rave. Except that time it was with another girl, Nagisa, because someone had tortured her, and then he flipped his shit. And this is what we're getting here, and oh, I always wanted it. Thank you, Sensei. So we getting that too, and it's just we had them fighting against each other. That's the other thing. Like I always wanted to see a rematch, and we got one. Although it was so messed up, it was such a messed up situation. So it was just so good on so many levels, and I love it, and I'm excited. I feel like even if we do see Juvia like alive and maybe frozen or something in the next chapter, I feel like even so, it's going to be a long time before she comes back into the story. That was another reason why I felt like it was really likely that Juvia would be killed here, because she needed to be sidelined, unfortunately. And if I was going to really nitpick and say what I didn't like about this chapter, it's that I did not like that Juvia didn't get an actual fight. Like she really didn't. She got she overpowered, I guess you could say, Invil's chain, but that's not a fight. She got, you could say, well, she fought against here's what she got during this arc. She fought offshoots of other people's Spriggans, the same way Gray did up until now. That's bullshit. I'm sorry. Like, if characters like Shelia get to defeat a Spriggan all on their own, but Juvia just ends up with this only in the entire arc, that's unfortunate. Like, she deserved better than that. She deserved, like, a proper fight. That's why I was hoping that they would break the chain some other way, and that Gray and Juvia would go on to defeat Inil together, and then something sneaky would happen, and Juvia would be killed then. But like this, as emotional and as much as I love this chapter, that would be my one nitpick, is that I wish Juvia had gotten a fight. Because she was ripped off. She really, really was. She deserved it. Everybody else got a fight that mattered, and Juvia, even people who didn't matter, like I said, Shelia, I don't care about Shelia. She did not deserve to defeat a Spriggan all by herself, and I don't care if she sacrificed her magic, because like I said, in Rave, a lot of people sacrificed things, and they all got everything back. So I have no doubt Shelia is going to get her magic back. I have no doubt that Ultear, who's still hanging around, is going to be young again, just like in Rave. I have no doubt, again, like people who are dying or near death or dead and maybe all going to be back. Like Natsu with his end situation, that if Seraph dies, he dies. He's not gonna die, or he might die and he'll be back, just like Rave. So, um, spoiler, sorry. But yeah, I don't think there are going to be any really, really, really serious consequences because Mashima said he's not going to give Fairy Tail a bad end. He wants his Fairy Tail to have a happy ending. There you go. So, I mean, he didn't say that, but he said, I don't want it to, he's not going to have a bad end. Alright? So, Gray being without Juvia would be a bad end. Okay, he already decided at 4:53 he's going to give her an answer because he was going to answer her feelings. And again, this is back to, I'm going to reference again dooshiedoosh from Tumblr. She said something very, very appropriate and very true, in my opinion, is that the reason he said he was going to give her an answer is because he had answered her once before. The rejection was an answer to her feelings. Now, in Japanese culture, basically, when someone like confesses to you, you either accept it or you refuse it. Gray refused it at the end of the GMG, and so that's why he was saying, "I'm going to give you an answer." He was giving her another answer. Now, if it was the same answer, if he was going to refuse her again, there would be no point to even talk about it. There would be no point for him to even bring it up because it would still be in effect. But because he's bringing it up again himself, that means he's giving her a different answer. And she knew that. That's why she was blushy. So he's going to give her another answer to his feelings and to her feelings, and that means he was going to accept her feelings this time because he feels the same way. That was the point. So that's what we have to look forward to, is that Gray is going, oh, it's going to be beautiful, man, because we didn't get it here. He wanted to give it, and he couldn't because she's dying on him. He'd be talking to nothing. She's not even responding. So it's just like, I'm so excited because, oh man, we were waiting for a reunion in Tartarus, and we didn't know what was going to happen there, but we were hoping for good things, and it was huge. But this time, that's the great thing, because I'm like the last person in the world to go, we're going to go canon. Because I know better. I know better, because Mashima, from a writer standpoint, you can't do it yet. Like, when people were saying it at the end of the GMG, and I'm like, no, too soon, and then we ended up with a rejection, which I didn't think we'd get either, but I definitely didn't think we would go canon because it was too soon. I'm like, why would Mashima give up all the attention so soon for such a tease pairing? He wouldn't. Freaking helicopters. But yeah, he wouldn't. And I feel like, we were thinking, like, at the end of Tartarus, I was like, I don't know if they're gonna go canon yet either. I think it's too soon. I kind of wanted to stretch out more. I want to see more Gruvia, and they didn't. I mean, if it had ended there, I think that would have been implied canon, but it didn't end there with the boob hug. And then we're like, okay, when they come back from from the time skip, what will happen? Will they be canon? They weren't canon then yet either. He still wanted to stretch it out. And I completely understand, and here we're in the same boat. Like, again, people are like, we might be canon in this chapter, it's called Gray and Juvia, and I was like, no, we might, but again, you have to think about it. He does not want to lose his readers' attention, and thus, we are not yet canon. We will, it's the same thing with Gajevi. That's why they haven't had their reunion yet. There's a tension, there's a build-up. Oh my god. So it's the same exact thing. Although I do think Gajevi's going to reunite before Gruvia do. Okay, so I feel like we have a while to wait for Juvia to actually come back into things. And I don't know when she's going to come back into things. Maybe we won't get canon when they finally do meet up again. It just depends how and why Juvia comes back into things. Because I don't know what else she has left to do. I feel like if Gray does kind of, like, lose himself somehow, maybe that's why Juvia will come back, but I kind of want Gray to be the reason why she's saved. Unless just encasing her in ice is enough. I don't know. We'll see, but she's gonna be back, and the reunion, their ultimate reunion, when they do address the feelings, they're gonna be canon. That, I have no doubt. That's it. It's gonna happen then. Like, I never say that, but it's gonna happen then. So yeah, we have canon to look forward to, and that's so awesome. So yeah, those were my thoughts on this chapter. And anybody saying at this point that Gray does not feel the same way about Juvia, he proved it beyond any words in this chapter. He just, like, did the exact same thing for Juvia that Juvia did for him for the exact same reasons. And if you can't see it, you're never gonna see it, and that's cool. You know, you could, you know, it's gonna go canon either way, no matter what you think. You know, whether you care about this pairing or not, whether you like them or not, it's still gonna go canon. So it's fine. But I loved this chapter. I loved everything about this chapter. It was amazing. It gave me so much of what I wanted for so long. And again, I'm a bad person because I really wanted to see Juvia and Grace suffer like this. Like, I really wanted it. I wanted it so bad. But it still hurt. It still hurt. I was still sad because I did not at all anticipate, like, I didn't think about my own feelings. I seriously did not consider my feelings. I didn't take them into account at all. That it might perhaps suck just a little bit to see my favorite character die. Just a little. But again, I don't think she's actually dead. I really don't. I think she's alive still, and she's on the brink of death, and Gray's going to do something to hold that from actually, like, finalizing. So, you know, I mean, he has ice magic for a reason. You know, it's very convenient, just the same way Juvia's very convenient blood transfusion magic worked here. But Gray always had ice, but now he can use it in this way, which is cool, to, like, halt her death. You know? So, yeah, I mean, those were my thoughts, and I'm excited for whenever they reunite and talk about their feelings. And, I really love them. I think that they've come such a long way, and we can even see it here in, like, all the flashbacks that Gray's thinking about, and I can't even believe they killed themselves for each other. That, I never expected that, so that's beautiful and messed up. And they're messed up. But in a good way, in a great way, and I love it. So, yeah. I love it. I own this freaking chapter too. Like, I have this chapter. I have the actual manga. Like, hold on. One second. This is it. Let me find it. Like, my friend and I, rieriebee, went and bought this. Look at that. No. We have the actual thing. It's so sad. We're so freaking, like, morbid. But it's beautiful. Like, it's just nice to have it. It's nice to have the... We did clean out Kinokuniya. We're sorry. We're not sorry. But we did. We got all of the copies for, like, lots of people. So, that's why. It's not all for us. It's for our friends. We're sending them to people. So, sorry if you, like, wanted to get the chapter. We cleaned them out. Sorry. But, yeah. I hope people... Because this is the longest thing I've ever done now. Oh my god. Like, I keep topping myself as far as how long these videos are. And this was just about one chapter. Longest chapter review ever. So, yeah. I hope that I didn't bore anybody, but yeah. Gruvia is going canon soon. So, that's exciting. And this was horrible to read and wonderful to read. So, really, really great chapter. Certainly, easily the best chapter in the entire arc, in my opinion. But, yeah. So, bye!